for it's June 19th, 2025. Got the questions called up. Emily's joining me.
Good
And
morning.
if you're watching, just due to the iPhone and having to have it on portrait mode, we're preposterously close to one another. Audio wise, you'll never notice, but visually, yeah, here we are. And so we'll both share this microphone too. Okay, we'll start out. I got a few shout outs as normal, and then we'll just get into the questions. The first shout out is from Demise. I hope I'm saying your name properly. DA. He posts all the time in the Linchpin private Facebook group, and just got himself yoked here in the last few months. Posted like a body shot here. So he says, did Linchpin test the other day, aka beach body. Did the full rounds of 8 strict pull-ups and 11 bar dips, which was an 11 rep improvement from last time. Completed the minute of 15 burpees, which is crazy, which is 10 more burpees than last time. But the photo he posted of himself, got his shirt off, he says he's down 13 kilos in the last 3 months. So yeah, looking strong. Well done. 13 kilos is legit in 3 months. Okay. This is from Tony P. This is what she had to say. She's very happy to Death by Burpees, which was her first Linchpin workout way back in November of last year, and got 12 rounds. So today, when she retested, she went from 12 rounds last time to completing 14 rounds and getting 7 rounds into the round of 15. So, pretty crazy. Congratulations. She also said last year she just wanted to give up. And this year she's not feeling like that, so life is good. And the final shout out, this one I think potentially might be the most impressive one of all. This is from Melissa G, who says in her own post that as far as her score goes the other day in Beachbody, not bad for an almost 65-year-old lady. So she did the ascending ladder of pull-ups and dips. She made it through the round of five strict pull-ups, and 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, all the way through 5, and got 2 reps into the round of 6 before time expired.
That's amazing.
At 65 years old. Strict work, by the way. And then, on Death by Burpees,
Super impressive.
13 rounds completed, and then 10 rounds into the next round, which is crazy. And I have to agree with her as far as the Death by Burpees. She says, that will never not suck. So, yes, fully agreed. So, okay. So, we've got the questions pulled up here. Some are legitimate strength and conditioning questions. Some are lighthearted in nature, and we'll approach each appropriately. And we'll just have some fun and walk through it today. But good questions as always. Oh, the first one. And Emily's just seen these for the first time. So the
Kids
first
are
one.
just now done with school, so it's been a little chaotic.
Yes, just done with school. Our little girl's sick. She was supposed to be in school yesterday. She wasn't, which means that I basically got nothing accomplished. We knew she was going to be home today, but we didn't expect 2 days, and so
The boys are doing 100 million sports too, so I feel like
yeah.
we're spending late nights in the gym and running around like crazy people.
As from the private Facebook group, Chris VB would say, life is lifing. Life is doing life things for sure. So the first question is lighthearted, I believe. It's from Jeremy D, who wants to say, so I want to know how you were ever convinced to do the music video Too Fit to Quit, knowing that you don't do interviews. It shocks me. You know what he's talking about?
Yes, I also would like to know the answer to this question because I knew of you, but didn't know you then.
Oh,
And I cannot see you doing
no,
that.
so that video, my good friends Heber and Marsden, the Buttery Bros before they were the Buttery Bros. Back in the day, I can't remember what year that went down, but at the games they wanted to do this like not a mockumentary, but like a funny video and a funny rap video. And of course, if you want to make it funny, put somebody in there who doesn't rap, doesn't know what they're doing. And when Heber presented me with the idea, I think the video is called Too Fit to Quit, I believe. When he presented me with the idea, it sounded like me entering the 6th ring of hell. It sounded awful. I hated everything about it. It wasn't slightly outside my comfort zone. It was so far out my comfort zone, it wasn't even in the same galaxy. And in some sort of odd way, I think that's why I said yes. Because it was like so far outside my comfort zone, and it's easy just to stay in your comfort zone, that I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this silly, stupid, outrageous thing and feel like a moron the entire time just to do something light. And I'm as equally shocked as everybody else that I did it. So it was it was supposed to be, it was supposed to be silly. So that was it. But yeah, I don't. It's funny, for as much as my job is um, forward facing or public facing, I actually don't. Yeah, I don't do interviews. I don't like being interviewed. Um, I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert, which would probably shock people, but you'll probably confirm that.
Yes, very much so.
If there's a crowd of people in the room, I would like to be just against the wall with no one kind of paying attention to me. That's like a great place to be. Um, are you introvert or extrovert?
I'm also an introvert. Yeah. I don't like being on camera. I also am not super comfortable in social settings where I don't know anybody. It's like a lot of small talk. That's not really my
Forte, small
No,
talk,
no.
chit chat. Okay, the next question is from Arjun R, who basically has a question about the Burgener Warm-up when it's programmed as accessory work. And the crux of the question is, for them, oh, hi. Our little girl was told that we'd be in here doing some work.
You gotta go back upstairs.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You're very funny.
That's smart. Yeah, good job. Good job listening to your tummy, honey. So life is lifing. That was our 4-year-old knocking on the door to my office to let us know that she was going to go pee.
So much for those teenagers who are supposed to be babysitting.
13-year-old and the 15-year-old said, "Don't worry, we got this. You guys can go do the AMA." And then, she's just, yep, that's it. So, all right. So on the Bergner warm-up, a little bit of loading is basically the question, and a little bit of loading, if it helps you get some feedback off the bar, not having, if having just an empty bar doesn't give you that feedback, there's nothing wrong with putting whatever loading in the barbell gives you that feedback. And you could do that, honestly, the whole fitness freedom thing. You could do that in the accessory work if that made the Bergner warm-up more beneficial for you. But we program the Burgener Warm-up every now and then as just a warm-up for a workout. And yeah, it's classically done with an empty barbell. But if you want to put a little bit of loading on it because you get better feedback, that's totally cool. All I would say is make it just enough to give you that feedback and not enough that you're just smoking yourself before the actual workout. Yeah, and that's that. Were you, let's see, back in the day, was the match a favorite of yours?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's never been my favorite. Never been my favorite.
Any sort of upper body movement.
But probably a hang power snatch would be better.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so next one from Matt F. Oh, this is another, okay. I recently watched the 3-2-1 Go South videos. People are just pulling up the old videos left and right. 3-2-1 Go South, and it was spectacular. But I gotta know, was meeting Emily the catalyst for the change from basically Pat then to Pat today? And also, have you won the lottery yet? Haven't won the lottery yet. 3-2-1 Go South, if anyone's unfamiliar with that, I believe that was in 2013. And myself and Ian Wittenberg somehow convinced the company that they should let us ride some dual sport motorcycles from Big Sky, Montana to the bottom of South America down in Chile and Argentina. And we got the green light, and we did. It took like 4 months to do. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And actually 2013, I think, is when we first met.
I mean,
Ish?
like, hello
Yeah,
at the
okay.
games.
Okay.
But outside of that, I mean,
Okay.
we don't start talking till later in 2015.
So, if you watch 3-2-1 Go South, you will notice that in that series, I'm a profound and seasoned vulgarian. I mean, F-bombs left and right with no regard for anything in the world, which I think what Matt's saying is like compared to how I present today, what was the catalyst for that? And it wasn't any one particular thing. If I'm answering your question honestly, I think where it stemmed from was, well, from being in the military and all that, green light on any and all vulgarities. The more the merrier. So that was like kind of what I was steeped in. And then lecturing, when I was lecturing for CrossFit every weekend, honestly, most of my early lectures were just as vulgar as that. And then eventually, I heard somebody else on staff say that we would record ourselves every now and then to see how we did, try to become better lecturers. And I remember this person saying that they were swearing the tail off as well, and they watched it back, and they were like, for lack of a better way to say it, like, wasn't really impressed with myself after I watched that. Like, didn't seem necessary, and I was like, interesting. I did the same thing, and I had the same actual response to myself. And then as a presenter of material, I kind of thought to myself, like, what's the point when I'm presenting material? It's to hopefully deliver the message, right? And let's say if you're swearing, there's basically three options. If you're swearing, the audience is either A, not going to care, so it's neutral. Um, Potentially B, some people will be turned off by it, and so because they find it so distracting, they're not listening to your message. Well, that's not effective. And then there's probably this small, very small percentage like, hey, this guy's swearing, I like him, great message. But that's probably neutral. So I was like, okay, when I think about it, the biggest swath is either neutral or I'm losing people. And so when I looked at it that way, it didn't seem like the best use of my time. So I started to curb it back then. I'd still sprinkle it in when it made sense to deliver a punchline or whatnot. And then as more of the on-camera work for CrossFit started, especially on like channels like ESPN or whatnot, like you can't drop an F-bomb on ESPN. And if you're so used to doing it in your daily life that you don't even notice that you're doing it, which was at a point that I was at for a while, and you drop one on live broadcast, that's not good for anybody. So I started really curtailing it in my daily life, and it just kind of stuck. Don't get me wrong. Stub my toe, I'm going to go ahead and swear. You're not a big swearer.
I'm not a big swearer.
She's a huge swearer off camera. So vulgar. No, I'm
not.
kidding.
I don't like to carry myself that way. I don't know. When I try to have a conversation with somebody who uses, especially like the F word as a verb, an adjective, and a noun,
Which was me.
I can't carry forward the conversation. It's just brutal. I don't like to watch shows. I don't know. It's just my thing. And then again, like having boys, I just would like for them to carry themselves a little bit differently. So be an example, I guess.
And we know that they're going to explore that route on their own, even without our encouragement, because they're human beings. The next one, okay, from Jake C. This is going to be a short answer, and I apologize, Jake. Do you have any CrossFit book recommendations? No. I don't. I mean, I've got a couple friends in the community that wrote books, and I haven't read those either. So I don't have any. I'm going to take a wild guess that you don't have a single one.
I only read nonfiction. No, fiction. Fiction.
Murder?
Yes, I like suspense novels. Really easy, goofy stuff just to check out of reality.
You don't want to read about somebody doing thrusters?
I don't.
I mean, teach their own. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is from Kate. This is what she has to ask. Parenthood question for both of you. Do your kids get in the gym with you? My boys are 17 and 15, have started working out regularly, typically doing a version of the Linchpin workout, VNR, or something akin to a bro sesh because they're teenage boys and they need that pump. If they're doing functional fitness gym stuff, how much coaching versus supervising for form and safety? While mine respect mom's fitness knowledge and ability, they prefer to work out alone after a form check. I love that they're interested and started to talk to me about workouts afterwards. So, even the kids will say, like, man, the fourth round was this and the fifth round was this. But even if they just prefer to work out on their own. So I guess, question by question, do your kids get in the gym with you?
Not really.
Mm-mm.
I will say that the 15-year-old, very lucky actually, their football team for high school outsourced their working out to the local, like, CrossFit gym. So he's lucky in that way. I actually think that they're doing some good stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to be consistent, and he'll do it all summer long. The 13-year-old, not so much. He says he wants to start. We'll see. It's not something we're going to push on him. They also...
Do I need to wash my hands? Can I suck my thumb or not?
You should probably wash your hands. That'd be a good idea. Can you get the stool out of the pantry and wash your hands?
Well, I don't think they're dirty.
Okay, then you're okay. Okay.
Hey, upstairs with the boys.
Go play with your brothers, okay? Okay.
And I also think, I don't know, the boys think that my athletic accolades
Here we go.
are like, I don't know if they think that I was in the circus and it like was for nothing, but
So
they
she's
just
a D1 gymnast, and the boys don't have any appreciation of
no,
that
they think
because it
it's
wasn't
silly
football or
and
baseball or basketball.
they just, and then they also think as far as working out that I don't know what I'm talking about. That
Mom doesn't know anything.
like their football coach that worked out 25 years ago, he is the intelligent one. So
It's
if they
challenging.
ask, we'll help them out and we'll see what the 13-year-old does this summer. But our oldest, he's kind of doing his thing.
At least he's got some structure now.
Yeah, with his sports team. So we'll just let him do that.
And yeah, the middle one, but we might kind of politely make the middle one work out more than he wants to, because he said he wants to. It's like, okay, well, you said it, so now let's actually do it. And then the 4-year-old crazy little girl, she actually likes to head out into the gym.
Yeah.
It's just play right now, but I try to encourage that. She'll say like, hey, I want to go out and do a workout with you. Now she doesn't actually do a workout, but she's using that phrase. So whenever she says that, I'm like, cool, let's go. So hopefully that sticks around. Okay, so now the question is, in those occasions when they do you let them just do their thing, or are you a hawk on the form?
I try to be. I mean, if they've asked me, then they want me to like give them some sort of workout. So then if they're doing something that form is important, I'll try to say a few things here and there. But I also try to put them on light enough loads that they can't get hurt, if you will.
And I would say if they ask, I'll give some input, but not too much that it becomes overwhelming and suffocating. And I would probably have a decent strike zone with them letting to move, even in a less than ideal form, because I think we'll get it cleaned up eventually. And I would be more worried about jumping on them so much that they begin to hate working out and stop, versus they got a little slop in the system, but they start to like it. And then when they want to get better, I'll be like, okay, here's how we can help you get better. So that's kind of how I would play that.
I also think we're up against, and I'm sure that everyone is, this world where like all our kids want to do is like some sort of specialty training so that they can dunk the basketball, or they think they need to do sport specific weird kind of training when then that's not what they need. So I feel like that's the battle that we have all the time, is like, you don't need to do these weird things that you saw on Instagram that are probably doing nothing for you. You need to do general strength and conditioning.
Yeah, 100%.
So
all right, next one is from Craig S. Since joining Linchpin, I've had to do my workouts at a commercial gym. I don't think the barbells have any spin on them. How much do you think that affects my 1 rep max cleans, snatches, and jerks? All my other lifts, I assume you mean squat, dead press, like the non-spinny barbell lifts. All my other lifts have increased, but my cleans and jerks and snatches struggle at basically 90 to 95% of my old 1 rep. What do you think?
I have to think that has some sort of impact.
I have to think it's massive.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've worked out at LA
massive.
Fitness in the last year, which I have not done, for probably 20 years. And the equipment is very, very different.
100%. It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, if, squat, dead press, it's not going to matter. But if you're trying to clean or snatch and you used to have a nice barbell, and now you've gone to these crappy barbells that don't spin, and you are at 90 to 95% of your old numbers, I actually think that's amazingly impressive. I have never done maintenance on my barbells, ever in my entire ownership of them, which is probably so wrong. I mean, it's been well north of a decade that I've had some of these barbells. And one of them gave me actually a little bit of grief the other day. One side of the barbell didn't spin. It was only during my warm-up. I think I had like a 135 on there for a power clean. And that side didn't spin and one side did. And that barbell suddenly felt like 185 pounds on that one side. It felt terrible. Now I know that's not scientific, but I'm here to tell you, I noticed it immediately and the difference was absolutely huge. So I would say yes, Craig, it matters a ton, an absolute ton. Okay, so this is, from Rusty. Let's learn more about the Sherwood household, or maybe not. Emily, what's the best thing and the worst thing about living with Pat? Now, put her on the spot here. I can maybe offer. Well, you got your own stuff, but I can make fun of myself and tell you an area that I think I cause her some grief in, and that's no one's going to accuse me of being a fashionista. I dress like I don't care about I think all my clothes are in a time machine and they've been outdated for a while, and I just never even notice. I don't know if things match. I don't know if they're too big or small. And I just walk out the door and she's like, "What are you wearing or doing? Like, you work out and you look good. Why do you dress like that?" Well, I don't know. Is that fair?
Yeah. I often say, could you wear something that you didn't get for free?
Yes, okay, we've heard that. We've heard that as well. Um, this doesn't have to be a therapy session, but anything else popped in mind?
About things that are challenging?
Either one, either
Oh,
one. I doubt I'll be shocked.
you have very specific temperature things. So we went to Hawaii. It's hot. We're laying out, but the minute he starts to sweat, he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't like getting too hot.
So then I'm, on the beach by myself because he's taken off 20 minutes in.
It's so hot.
Sleeping, you have very particular sleeping
Yeah, and the temperature relates to that too.
yeah.
And I think I've passed it on to our daughter. She doesn't like it hot at night. She likes it cold. She likes it ice cold. And
For the record, it is so cold in our house at night. I sleep in like a sweatshirt and sweatpants and sometimes still shake myself to sleep.
Cold. Cold is nice. And what's the good stuff about living with me? Nothing. We'll save that for another time. Let's see. From Renee G. She's curious for both Emily and Pat. Basically, what movements don't you like? Don't want to do them. Don't want to walk into the gym. And then what do you do to just do it anyway? So what movements don't you like and how to overcome that to make it happen?
I hate squatting and I hate deadlifting. I know that's so like weird I feel like everyone loves those two movements. I hate them. I hate anything lower body, like high volume lower body stuff. I get wrecked really easily. So anytime I high volume deadlift, even just a strength session, I'm always wrecked the next day. My low back just does not tolerate it very well. And my legs, even high volume air squats, I'll be destroyed sometimes for a week afterwards. I just am very, very weak. So I still do it all, but I definitely
It takes a
lighten the loads. Yeah, and I always lighten the loads. And I just have to know what I'm getting into, like be prepared. And if I don't want to get devastated for a while, 3 days, then I'll go super slow.
Okay,
It's just not
everybody.
worth it to me.
Did everybody hear that? So somebody who was a D1 gymnast and competed twice at the games as an individual regularly will scale the loads and intensity if needed. Okay, so yes, all y'all do that. Making smart decisions is always the right call so that you can train not just today or this week, but actually for the rest of your life. And some of the toll that those heavy loads take in your body is probably based upon previous training as well. But what's the list of injuries or banged upness you've had from
Oh, I think that my lower body is weak. I sustained an injury.
gymnastic stuff?
Yeah, when I was in 7th grade, and it plagued me until I was 22 years old. I think I had 5 surgeries on that left leg. And then my hip labrums are torn and just a low back that took a lot of impact for many years. So I just, like my orthopedic surgeon said, he's like, there's no free lunch. Some of this stuff you're just going to have to deal with when you're older. And so I'm dealing with it now that I'm older, and it's just not, I don't care anymore about a 1 rep max number. So I just don't push some of this stuff anymore. I know that I'm in good shape. I know that I'm, 40, I'll be 44 this year, and I'm content with where I'm at. I just want to be able to play with my kids and stuff.
Fair enough. Get a good night's sleep in a cold room. It's like sleeping in the room is like a cryogenic experience each night that it actually promotes healing and muscle growth. Okay, here you go. This one's for you. From Dawn S. She wants to know, thank you, Emily. This question's for you. Do you find it necessary to supplement your diet with vitamins and minerals, be it vitamin D, magnesium, B12, or any other additional things in order to maintain strength, body weight, and meaning increased basically avoid the increased belly fat everyone talks about keep your energy up, and how are you able to keep it all in check with your diets and workout alone? Asking for women over 40, and for me, I'm over 50. The hormone talk is super confusing to me. So, do you have to do anything extra thus far in your life, and if so, what is it?
I don't really do any extra stuff. Now, that being said, I just got like some blood work done because I'm always curious and I'm not deficient in anything. And I actually, for the most part, feel pretty good. I get run down and I'm tired, but I also have to look at my life and go, well, these are probably some reasons why.
Right.
Um,
You follow the breadcrumb trail on
yeah.
that one?
Now, that being said, I think I've always been open. I don't have the best diet, I never have. Um, but I was having some serious knee issues over the last year. I have really bad arthritis, again, from it being operated on 5+ times. So it's bone on bone in there. So I tried some other things. I was going to cryotherapy, I was doing like red light therapy. I was kind of like just desperate to feel
Experimenting.
better. Um, and then I did clean up my diet and point I made a point to actually lose weight, even at the cost of losing some muscle mass. I was okay with that. And my knee feels incredible. I don't have that pain that I was having day in and day out. So I haven't felt this good in probably a year as far as my knee is concerned. And that was just like making way better food choices and then peeling off just a little bit of weight. So again, I don't take the additional stuff, but I do agree with you that the hormone talk is really confusing. There's so much information circulating around about women in perimenopause and menopause. I'm not an expert, so I can't say what is good and what is bad. And I don't know, you just sometimes need to experiment with your own body. The one thing that when I was making a conscious effort to change my diet and lose some weight, I did do consistent DEXA scans because I was curious. I didn't want to lose massive amounts of muscle, but if I didn't have a baseline, then I wouldn't know how much I was losing. So that was an important metric for me as well. And I didn't go crazy on the dieting thing either. I, I cut my portions down, really was the crux of it all, and stopped eating so much sweet treats. That's kind of my downfall. But I know there's like all this emphasis on protein, which is super important, but I almost felt like I was being so dialed in with my protein, and I do not want to count macros. I don't want to do that at this stage in my life. I have zero interest in doing that. So I think it was causing me to overeat because I was so focused on that protein number that probably everything else was so out of line that I was like not in a caloric deficit and just ended up putting on a few pounds.
Now back on track.
Yeah, and I did it less for aesthetic reasons and more just my knee hurts so bad, and so just controlling that, I feel great.
And this may not, here's my, whatever I need to say, my precursor things. Dawn, this should be obvious. Number one, I'm not a woman. I don't know what I'm talking about. Number two, I have no expertise in this subject whatsoever. But what I feel rather confident saying from having just been exposed to strength and conditioning, have been my full-time profession for so long, is I think a lot of people chase other things. This supplement, this vitamin, this mineral, this whatever. And if that invisible drone of scrutiny, that little drone that hovered over your head 24 hours a day that was invisible and you didn't know it was there, and it saw every nutritional choice you made for 30 days, most Americans, and maybe the world in general, I think that data would show before you try A, B, or C, there's probably a lot of work that most of us could do to just eat higher quality foods in the appropriate ratios. Give that a whirl, see how that goes. And I'm not saying it's magic and will fix everything, but I think a lot of people have issues there and they're adding something on to something that's already broken where that foundation should be fixed. So again, I'm not sure if that applies to you specifically, but I'll just say I see that all the time, in both men and women of all ages, quite frankly. Okay, next one from Justin D. Justin, you put me on the spot. I'm not prepared for this. If you could pick 3 tests to assess someone's overall fitness levels, say 1 strength, 1 monostructural, and 1 gymnastics related, what exercises would you pick and why? First of all, I can't give this the credit that it deserves. I'm such a programming nerd, like I could take a week on this, so I'm gonna just throw something out there that I reserve the right to be totally wrong and change and hate that the second this video is over. Strength, I mean, the back squat's fantastic, but if I could just do one thing, maybe the full clean and jerk. You're gonna have to be able to pull off the ground. You're gonna have to have explosive hip opening. You have to be strong below parallel. You have to be strong overhead. You have to be coordinate. I mean, so that's probably a darn good one, and you're gonna be able to lift more load than the snatch. But so maybe the clean and jerk, full clean and jerk. A monostructural one. I don't know if you're saying just monostructural and nothing else, but if it's just monostructural, it can't be mixed modality. Maybe one singular sell your soul to the devil 800-meter run, and just see what that time is. And then a gymnastics one. I mean, something like Cindy is beautiful, quite frankly. And if you're saying it can't be three things, pull up, push up, air squat, it just has to be one, then I would probably take just max set dead hang pull ups. The pull up is the squat of the upper body. And so that's what I would do. Do you have any thoughts?
No.
That's what, okay. Okay, two-part question here from Dan W. We did Tuesday's checkpoint, the beach body, dips and pull-ups. What's more efficient, wide or shoulder width grip for pull-ups? I find shoulder width grip engages my lats more, but wide has less distance to lift my mass. Here's what I would say with that. Okay, maybe curious what you would think. I would do what makes the most sense for you to become fit, fast, and strong. And so what I mean by that is you're saying you could go super wide with your hands, and yes, it reduces the range of motion, but I don't think that's going to serve you the best for just being an overall fit human being. It's like when people used to try to get a super fast time on Diane by having their hands in like a snatch width grip doing the handstand push-ups, so their head only moved 2 inches. They're like, yep, look, I did the range of motion. It's like, yeah, but let's not do that. So I would say, don't worry about if going super wide, it shortens the range of motion. I would say for most people, most of the time, a grip somewhere around shoulder width or just slightly outside of shoulder width is going to be totally good to go for most people. Oh, our little girl has been coming to the door multiple times here. We'll be done real soon, honey, okay? Real soon.
I'm gonna go poop. And
Okay.
who can wipe me?
Yeah, we'll take care of you, honey. We'll take care of you.
I'll listen for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Me.
So our little girl has now, by the way, I don't know where her brothers are, supposed to be watching her, has now come in and informed us that she's going to go ahead and defecate. And she's back at the door right now.
Okay.
Yep, we'll hear you, honey. Yep, so go ahead. Okay. So that's what I would say. I would say don't overthink it. Comfortable grip that's like around shoulder width, maybe just slightly wider than shoulder width, but I wouldn't go super wide, exaggeratedly so, to just shorten the range of motion. I don't think that serves you well. Agree, disagree?
I feel like my answer is much more simple. Like, mix it up, do both, and then kind of do what works best for you. I think some of that grip is just how you were made, like your arm length and your torso length. So I think that is going to be different for every human.
Comfortable grip on the bar.
Yeah.
Next one, also part 2 from Dan. When to pace burpees, because the second part of that beach body is death by burpees. I started doing step-ups, basically stepping in and out of the burpees in round 9 to save energy at the expense of the rest. And by 12 and 13, I couldn't convince myself to hop both feet up or down. So it sounds like basically when to step in to step out of burpees. What do you think?
I feel like that's another one that's like your fitness level and then your height, like your capacity. I never step in and out of burpees. I can't. I think I'm kind of like you. If I start stepping in and out, I can never go back to hop. And the stepping in and out is actually more challenging for me for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because I'm short. I always hop in and out, and then I pace them from the beginning. I just pick a pace and I stay steady and I breathe. I never like gas them out at the beginning because I know I won't have any capacity left. So I think that is just like And flexibility has a lot to do with burpees. If you can't bend down and touch your toes, it makes it really hard to jump in and out because your hamstrings don't get in where you need them to. So I think a lot of people who have tight hamstrings are kind of limited and they do have to step in and out. I've seen that a lot.
With regards to the pacing, so what he's talking about is it was death by burpees. One burpee the first
Oh,
minute,
gotcha.
well,
Okay.
I mean that two the second, but you
Got
answered
it.
it 3 the third. But it's the same thing. Like if it's the round of 8, I'm not blitzing the round of 8 at a red line pace, you know, doing them in 22 seconds and then barely recovering again. Like I'll do 8 at a moderate pace, 9 at a moderate pace, and that I have found for me personally, that allows me to go further in the workout than like max at 9, max at 10, max. Eventually you're hustling to barely make it in the minute. But for me, I pace it kind of early, as to where I think the end point's going to be for me, if that makes sense. I know our daughter's going to call you soon, so we're going to get these 2 questions here. This one I'll say is more for you. Um, oh, all right, there she goes. There she goes. All right. This from Sanjil Y. Hello, Pat and Emily. You both competed at the CrossFit Games. What's something you were convinced mattered deeply when you were training for the Games that you now realize doesn't matter? I'll have to almost default this to when she gets back after our daughter, because the truth is, when I went to the Games, it was 2009, which is so different than today. So different. And when I qualified for the Games, which was shocking, by the way, I didn't expect to do that. I didn't do anything to prepare for the Games at all. Couldn't have cared less. I just was working out, doing one workout a day, happy. Went to the qualifier that year, the Mid Atlantic qualifier, made it to the Games, and then went to the Games. But I didn't do anything for it. It was 2009. Didn't know what I was getting into, so I didn't do anything different than what I do right now. This question for you: You competed at the Games. What's something you were convinced mattered deeply when you were training for the Games and now you realize doesn't?
Oof. Perhaps I'm unique. I think most of the things that I did mattered deeply because my run was so short. I started CrossFit, and 1 year later, I qualified for regionals. And then after that, I kind of started training, but not really. I still only did group classes until right before the Open. And then after I qualified to regionals, I started training for the Games. And I was so weak. My lower body, I mean, again, my lower body was so weak. So I had to do a ton of strength work. But I still didn't put in the volume that other people did. There were people that were in the gym for like 5+ hours a day. I had 2 kids, which was like unheard of back then.
What year?
I had 2 kids and a full-time job. 2013 and 2014 was the year that I trained for the Games. I probably should have done more things that mattered. Like, again, my nutrition, I put 0 effort and energy into eating well and fueling workouts, and I don't know.
Anything you think now that isn't as important in hindsight, or
Training for the Games in general.
Didn't you show up to one competition with an air mattress and a Snickers bar?
Yes. Yeah.
Had some place to
I
sleep
think I
between
was
events?
a little bit different than other people. I just didn't know what I was doing. So maybe that was it, that I was so naive that I didn't care about some stuff that I probably should have cared about.
But then also what I think is interesting about your journey as well is, I don't know if you were right or wrong. Maybe you were didn't give yourself enough credit, or maybe you honestly assessed yourself. I don't know. But maybe you had an easier time stopping after that, because after you, in 2014, you took what, 13th?
Yeah.
And I've heard you say something that you're like, well, I don't think I have much more in the tank, so I'm not going to beat myself into the ground trying to get in the top 5.
That's exactly right. I knew my capacity. I also knew my life circumstances, and I didn't want to. I've already done that where I train, 6, 8 hours a day. I wasn't willing to do that. And I knew that my gymnastics was at the very top of the field. I really probably wasn't going to make much movement there. And I worked so hard and beat my body so hard to like build the strength. I also just didn't feel like I had much more room to go on that. before it was that fine line of I was going to walk away very injured because I already was dealing with like a tremendous amount of hip pain and stuff. So I feel like for me, I kind of reached where I knew I was going to go, and there was no reason. It was probably going to be a decline after that.
Final question from Phil J. I'm amazed that we made it with our daughter. This is great, and this I think maybe more geared towards you. And I don't even know. Let's see where it goes. So Phil says, I mean this specifically in terms of additional programs. For example, the very not random programs outside of Linchpin. Is there a best method / order to learn extra / more complex gymnastic skills in such a way that one program then has carryover to the benefits of the next? So how I took this question is, yes, varied not random has various cycles. Get your first strict pull up, first strict dip, strict ring muscle up, first strict handstand push up, toes to bar, 5-foot handstand walk. There's a whole bunch of that stuff. And I guess if you're asking, is there an order to do that? I would also find it interesting because sometimes what CrossFitters pile onto each other, in the eyes of a gymnast, the order doesn't seem to make sense. CrossFitters may rush advancement where, somebody that spent their life with like bodyweight movements would take a different approach. So I guess, putting you on the spot, maybe you don't know the answer off the top of your head. When you think of the general things that CrossFitters need to do, is there an order in your head? Is there a base that you should have? Is there anything that pops in there?
I don't know that there's an order that you have to have. I think there's a natural progression of things that would come first, second, third, because how you position your body does carry over to all of those movements. So if, I would think that a pull-up would come first, followed by probably handstand holds, handstand walking, handstand push-ups, to then over to the rings, muscle ups, but simultaneously working through a dip. If you can't do a good set of ring dips, you're probably not going to be able to dip out of a muscle up, so you're probably going to lack that. But your kip swing, so how you approach pull-ups and muscle-ups and how you're swinging, has a direct correlation to then when you tip upside down, what's your body position look like in a handstand. So if everything you do is sloppy and disconnected and your shoulder isn't stacked on top of your hips, which stacked on top of your toes, you're going to have a hard time building the strength and capacity to do any of those movements. And I think that's the one thing that people just don't seem to understand with gymnastics. There's a reason why kids start really early. There's a reason why it takes so long, as you've now seen with your own eyes, with our own daughter, to learn some of these basic things. I think people make them look so easy. It's not just a strength thing, it's a body awareness and positional thing as well. If you want to do the more advanced skills, you have to build the foundation of like a good strict pull-up with like a tight core in a little bit of a hollow body, and be able to pump those out to then be able to tilt yourself upside down to have the same exact body position. Now you're doing handstand push-up. So does that make sense?
Yes, it's the opposite of how I do pull-ups. Every pull-up I do is not in a hollow and broken. It's just, it's just from years of, I have the opposite things beat into my head. So while she grew up having thousands of repetitions beat in properly, in most of my training in high school and then years in the military, it was just basically a bro sesh ripping around pull-ups in the bar, in any sort of body position. And that is what's beat into my central nervous system, and it's not helpful. So yes, I think positionally, none of us give probably as much attention as we should to the actual positions that we're in.
Well, and like I'm going to use the handstand as a perfect example. You would never in a million years be in gymnastics doing a handstand with your back to the wall. That's like unheard of because it puts you in a bad position. Your butt against the wall is naturally going to make your back go into an arch. You never want to be in an arch. You're going to fall over every single time. So drilling that kind of stuff, it was always toes and nose to wall. And even handstand push-ups, when we do handstand push-ups, it was always toes and nose to wall.
And strict.
And strict, yes, never. And I think that's the thing, like if you want to do the more gymnastic stuff, it takes time. You're going to have to do it outside of your workout. You have to slow down. You're not going to want to do that stuff for time.
Yeah, agreed. Well, that's everything, everybody. Great, Emily showed up. How about that? You know, got her on camera here as
Wasn't
we
in the car driving today.
as we record this. It's Thursday, so wherever you are in the world, enjoy your rest day. I'm 100% going to enjoy mine. We're gonna go see what in the world is going on with our kids and lack of babysitting protocol that just took place, and we're gonna get back into real life. So have fun, everybody, and we will see you online.